Well, it's 7:30 now. We'll get started. Thank you everyone for coming this morning. Tim, what do you got for us this morning?
I have a clip from the 1993 All-Star Game in Baltimore. One of my favorite bands in the world, and sadly cannot be with us anymore because one of their members died recently. So, but here we go.
Aren't you the good news bear this morning?
I know, well, but still, it's a wonderful song.
Please remain standing as we welcome the lead singer of the rock group Rush, as he
You guys hear
honors
this out?
his native land with his
Yes.
presentation
Okay.
of the Canadian national anthem. Please welcome Mr. Geddy Lee.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Tim. I remember a lot of those players.
Mm.
Al, what do you have for our Sergeant at Arms report this morning?
Good morning, President Dean. Good morning to you, and good morning to our fellow Rotarians. Good morning to our guest speaker, Tina. Nice to see you this morning, Tina. Good morning to Andrea. Nice to see you, Andrea. John, welcome this morning. Nice to see you. Tim, that was a very, very appropriate Canada this morning. For me especially, looking at the Blue Jay players, Cito Gaston, the manager for 2 years in a row when the Blue Jays won the World Series. But there was a close-up of Joe Carter, and for me, that brings back very warm memories. I was at the Sky Dome along with many, many screaming Toronto fans when Joe Carter hit the home run and Toronto won the World Series. We couldn't move from our seats for about 3/4 of an hour. Everybody was just jumping up and down, yelling and screaming. I remember getting on the subway to go back up to Yorkdale Plaza to get my car. The subway was packed. It was cases of beer, champagne. Everybody was drinking on the subway. Toronto cops were laughing and waving. I'll never forget it. The city of Toronto was just on fire, and it was a wonderful thing to experience. And I just hope I live long enough to experience it again. So we've got. I have to say hello to Eleanor. Nice to see you this morning, Eleanor. How are you doing? You okay? Good to see you. We have a special person in our Rotary Club, and I don't believe he's here this morning, but I want you sometime, and today or tomorrow, or as soon as you can, reach out to Dr. J, Dr. Doug Jernigan. It's Doug's birthday today. I don't know if many of you realize this, but Doug has resigned from the Rotary Club in Barrie. He has stepped back. He is spending more time with his family. His days with Rotary Club in Barrie are over, but he promised me he will never, ever leave our club. He was an honorary member of our club. He was a mentor to this club. He was a builder of this club. And please reach out to Doug today. Wish him a happy birthday. And he told me he's looking forward to many more years with our club. So that's it for this morning, Dean. And once again, to our guest speaker, thank you very much for coming this morning. You're going to be properly introduced now. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. And on that, Jen, would you like to introduce the speaker today?
Thank you, President Dean. In May, Tina read a post honoring the women who have brought leadership to the Innisfil Rotary Club. The California ruling of 1987 allowed women to become Rotarians in any jurisdiction. During 1986 to 1987, Tina was chosen to represent the Peterborough Rotary Club as an international exchange student. This was significant in that she had been chosen as the first female to be sent to Japan, a country who had strong opinions about women not being in leadership. Therefore, the club wanted an older female youth as they knew that there could be challenges. This experience led to Tina being awarded a Lieutenant Governor General's Award for representing Canadian youth overseas at the age of 18. In the years following, Tina has earned degrees from Trent University, Queen's University, and holds a master's in Christian Worldview Studies from the Institute of Christian Studies at the University of Toronto's School of Theology. She has taught in Budapest and Bancroft, Peterborough and Barrie, as well as having served as an associate professor at Redeemer University in Ancaster. Tina has been married to Steve for 26 years, and they parent an 18-year-old and a 20-year-old, and they are surviving that journey. Tina is actively involved as a member of Innisfil Community Church, which was one of the main reasons she and Steve chose to move to Alcona in May of 2020. She loves her town and looks forward to being a positive and involved community member. As our club looks to becoming actively involved in the Rotary International Youth Exchange Program, Tina wants to encourage us what a lasting impact this can have on a young person's life. Please welcome Tina.
Have to remember to unmute myself. There we go. Thank you. 35 years ago, I would have began by saying, Ohayo gozaimasu, kyo wa genki desu ka, watashi no name wa Tina desu. And so for those of you not well versed in Japanese, that is good morning. And how are you? And my name is Tina. And thank you for allowing me to come and speak, and how inspiring it was in May to read the post of the women who've had leadership in the Innisfil Club, and I congratulate you for that. It's fantastic to see and to reflect upon the growth and the changes that have happened in Rotary. Anyhow, today the presentation is called Reflections of an Exchange Alumni and Next Steps for Our Local Youth. And when I shared with my kids, my 18 and almost 21-year-old, they kind of had a little bit of a chuckle, you know, and I even pulled out my Rotary jacket that students would wear. I'm not sure if they still wear those. I think they do. I've been on the Rotary Youth website, and those are jackets that represent the different countries from around the world in their colors. And every time you go to a Rotary meeting or you're involved in a district event, you receive pins from those different countries, and you give pins away. And that's been a Rotary youth tradition over the years. And so they both chuckled when I tried to try that jacket on, and that's why it's hanging there. Anyhow, let's take a look at some of the things that have happened with my group. Now, when Rotary chooses students, we have the districts, and the district I was in Ontario is quite a large district. So there's so many of us, but the district that I lived in Japan, there was only 10 of us, 7 Americans and 3 Canadians. And in 1986, there was no social media, there was no Facebook, there was face-to-face communication. It was $10 a minute to call home to Canada. And so we didn't call home. We had one another. And because of those circumstances, that caused the 10 of us to become very close. So if we go to the first slide, now you'll hopefully, if you've been to the, or sorry, the second, yes. If you've been to the Rotary website, I am plagiarizing. I have picked up a few quotes from the Rotary International Youth website. And maybe some of you know this information well. Maybe today it's a learning experience for you. So the first slide is for more than 40 years, Rotary Youth Exchange has been one of Rotary's best known programs. As an official program, it dates to 1975, but by that time, Rotary clubs had already been sending students abroad for decades. The first exchange happened, I believe, in 1927, with the aim of promoting international understanding and friendship. And that is the last picture that was taken of the 10 of us together in 1987, after having been together for a year. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. What I'll do is I'll present, and then if you have any questions after that, there's, I know there's a time frame, and I can go on tangents, and so I don't want to do that. I'll stay because to the slides. So the title says Rotary Youth Exchange builds peace one young person at a time. Students learn a new language, discover another culture, and truly become global citizens. Exchange for students are ages 15 to 19, and they're sponsored by Rotary clubs in more than 100 countries. And what are the benefits? Exchange students unlock their true potential to develop lifelong leadership skills, learn a new language and culture, build lasting friendships with young people from around the world, and become a global citizen. And just want to direct you to a few of the pictures. And this is, I'm sorry for some of the quality. I had to scan some of these and take them because 35 years ago, we just used a regular camera, right? And so I have multiple photo albums downstairs of my year overseas. So the one where we see the Japanese and Canadian flag flying, many times we were called upon by the Canadian government to represent the youth of the country. And so this was an international symposium with Minister Flora MacDonald and the Ambassador Barry Spears. And so often when these international symposiums were called, especially in the Osaka area, we were asked as Canadian students to come and represent the youth of Canada, which was really an overwhelming responsibility. So we did our very best to try and behave, right? You'll see different situations we're involved in. To the left, where I am in a blue kimono, that's at a school festival. I attended high school, my grade 12 year in Japan. And some of the children that I lived with, now we weren't in kimono all of the time. We wore regular clothes. These were for special events. The bottom right-hand corner where there's a series, and you'll see many of us on stage. When you're involved with Rotary, you interact, and you all know this, with different people in different fields of business. And in Japan, the kimono is a very special outfit, and so this was a fashion show that some of us were asked to be in, and each one of us was assigned a dresser and a makeup artist, and we each got to wear a kimono that was the one that I'm wearing is hand spun over the course of 7 years. And so it's a $3 million kimono that I had the opportunity to wear that day. And so some very unique opportunities are given to students in their interactions with different Rotarians. And so that's an experience that I'll remember for all of my life. I don't think I've ever again have worn an outfit priced at $3 million. All right, we'll move on to the next slide. So in my introduction at the end, I wrote, much of the strength and vitality of a town comes from its youth. And as your Rotary Club looks to becoming actively involved in the Rotary International Youth Exchange Program, I want to encourage you in this message of what a lasting impact this can have on a young person's life. Now, I was in discussion with Liberty Miller, and Liberty works and lives in the Silicon Valley in California. And he was one of our group. And Liberty said, I asked him, I said, I think it's wonderful that he was given the gift of going on Rotary Youth Exchange. And he says, I'd encourage the Rotarians to take a chance on people and think of it as an investment in the future. And says that he can say for all Americans in particular, it's very important as part of their civic responsibility to be exposed to the fact that there's a big wide world out there. Now, the group that I was involved in, the 7 Americans, they also have a unique perspective because their idea of service also comes out of growing up with fathers in particular who had served in Vietnam. And so it's a unique perspective, I find, because many of us in Canada maybe don't have that point of view, but our American friends, particularly those now in their 40s and 50s, have parents who were raised with service beyond self. So there's a picture of me the day I was selected to attend to be a Rotary International Exchange Student. As said in the introduction, Peterborough Rotary Club chose me as their first female to go to Japan, and they knew that there would be some challenges that I would face as a female going to that country, but I survived, and that's good. Now, Jonathan Martinek, Jonathan, in his passage here, he says that the exchange for him was a life-altering experience. And John went on to become a Rotary president in the United States. And he has a master's degree in Japanese culture. His wife is Japanese, and they had met while working for a medical implement company. Jonathan now has a YouTube channel because he went to his first passion, which was cooking. And he is also a Japanese chef. And so he's left his field of work for his field of passion. And that's exciting. All right, let's go to the next slide. So, as I said, there was 10 of us, 7 Americans, 3 Canadians, and we were offered many unique opportunities. One of those opportunities was to go and play in the Sony Tower on Saturdays, and we were allowed to play with prototypes of new inventions. And in 1986, it just blew our minds as we were holding these things called cell phones. And these were telephones that weren't connected with a cord to the wall. And, they shared with us that, one day there would be a phone that we could hold in our hand, and you might even be able to actually see the person you were talking to on the phone. And of course, as teenagers, we were just so amazed. And then we just laughed because we had all seen Star Trek, and thought that would never happen, And so we played with those things. And at the end of our time together, we would make those commitments. Oh yes, we'll write, and if we have enough money, we'll call each other when we get back to the States and Canada. But the way things went, those letters, those contacts became less as each of us went off to university and marriage and travels and careers, until Jonathan, who I spoke of, who was the chef, he was working for this medical implement company, and at that time, I was aware that he was working in the Twin Towers, and it had been a few years since I had been in contact with him. And I was home with my 1-year-old, who happened to be born on September 11th, and watched the tragedy unfold in New York City, and touched my heart knowing that the last I had heard, John worked in the Twin Towers. And so I spent time looking through victim websites, and his name was never there. And eventually, I was quite relieved, obviously, but in time, this thing called Facebook was invented. And I thought, okay, if this thing is all it's cracked up to be, we should be able to get the 10 of us back together. And so through a lot of searching, John and I were the first to connect. And fortunately for him, he had left that position in the Twin Towers a year before. And in time, one of the blessings, I guess, of Facebook is that it reconnected all of us, which has been very special. So we'll go to the next page. And here we are today. Michael is an engineer, and he is the past Rotary president in Shelburne, Ontario. Jonathan currently works in Oregon as the Affordable Housing Supervisor for low income in the state of Oregon. And he is a former sound engineer for Crystal Gale Productions. Tracy has gone on to hold a master's degree in nursing, and she's a supervisor of their family's thousands and thousands of acres ranch in Oregon. John, as I had shared, is a former president of the North Haven Rotary Club, and he was also instrumental in the recovery process and bringing food to victims of the tsunami in Japan just a few years ago. Melinda and I both went on to hold master's degrees, and we are both teachers. Liberty is a technical software engineer in Silicon Valley. Brian is structural engineer, and I think that covers 8 of us. Unfortunately, 2 others chose not to. Actually, they struggled quite a bit in their exchange and did not complete their time. So, all right, we'll go to the next one. So, exciting things for kids, for young people, when they get to go on exchange. The benefits: they develop lifelong leadership skills, learn a new language and culture, build lasting friendships with people from around the world, and become a global citizen. And the back screen is the country of Japan, which can fit into Ontario. Oh, I think they've told us before 7 to 10 times, right? And we've had the opportunity to zoom across the country on the Shinkansen, the bullet train. As a person who did a degree in history, what a valuable opportunity it was to sit at the base of the dome in Hiroshima, to witness history no longer in a textbook, but to be there where it's living and active, to represent our country, as I spoke on, to travel. Some of the other students had the opportunity to be taken to Taiwan when their Rotarian father, host father, would go for business. Speaking opportunities and learning the language, concerts. What a great opportunity to be front and center with Phil Collins in 1986 at the Osaka Castle, and to be given those unique and amazing opportunities. That was a time where, somebody would see you and ask to dance to Madonna or Michael Jackson, because we were North Americans and obviously we knew how to moonwalk. To be a little famous, you make unique connections with Rotarians. I got to be a Kodak model because they needed an international face in Osaka. And so you'll see in the following picture how one of the Rotarians was a photographer and asked me as the exchange student to be their face of Kodak International in that area of Japan. Family and culture, life challenges and history coming off the page. I remember the first night I arrived in Japan, and family, culture, and life challenges, that they're having this huge party for me, a welcome party. And of course, at some point a person has to use the washroom, and so how do I ask that in my limited Japanese language? And so I asked very politely to use the bathroom. And so I was taken down the hallway and opened up the doors to ofuro, which is the hot shower where you shower down, and then you're taken into the next room where the bath is. And I'm thinking, this is not my body's need right now. And then when it was finally figured out what I really needed, I was shuttled down the hallway to what they called the toilet room instead. And so from the very beginning, so it's some interesting challenges. So let's go to the next slide. So you can see one of my Rotary speeches written there. And it takes a long time to learn a language that has 3 key alphabets. We have 26 letters. In Japan, you have hiragana, katakana, and kanji, with each character representing a different, sometimes thought, phrase, emotion, word. You have the opportunity as a student to speak at Rotary Club, and there I am at Rotary Club Nagawa. And when Rotary has events in Japan, you can see at that bottom picture, everybody shows up. The husbands bring their wives and the children, and this was a Christmas event. And it's the meetings. The meetings are not on Zoom. The meetings are at luxurious Japanese hotels. So wherever you go in the country, it's luxury and Rotary go together. And so that was very exciting. So let's go to the next page. Just checking out my time. So different cultural experiences. There in the middle is the Kodak international model. My kids chuckle at that. On the right hand side, there we are with Ambassador Spears and Flora MacDonald, Trade Minister at that time. And you can see the series of business cards of different Canadian officials. In the top corner, being invited in to participate in different candy making and fish frying experiences. And there's the Osaka Castle and the ticket to the Genesis concert. All right, we'll go to the next slide. And so different opportunities to experience incredible culture for young people. The top left-hand corner, you'll see watermelons. And we can go to Sobeys here in Alcona and pick up a watermelon for just a few bucks. In Japan, watermelons are imported. And they range, at that time in 1986, they were $28 for a watermelon. And so when Jonathan got home after school one day and discovered a watermelon in the fridge, oh, he loved eating it. To his Rotarian mother's horror when she arrived home and realized that he had eaten a delicacy that was being saved for a party. And that's what a watermelon was. Kiwis were $5 and honeydew melons were $12. On the street corner, you could go to any type of machine. We took this picture, not that we were actively involved in drinking beer as Rotary students, because you're not supposed to, but on the street corner, how we have Pepsi and Coke machines, they would have beer machines and you could purchase your beer. In the middle with Felix the cat, that every year schools have a huge festival, a festival of the arts. And so that was Nara Joshidai is where I attended as a student. My first family, the Miyake family, at their home in a group picture. And the bottom right-hand corner was Rotary's Day at Japanese Hollywood. And so that is the set where a number of the Godzilla films were made at one point. And so that was a tour because that's what Rotary would do. We would get together and do huge tours with our groups. So let's go to the next page. All right, so this is taken right from Rotary International, a couple of screenshots. So now what about the Innisfil Rotary Club? If we look at some of Rotary's statistics, 70% of exchanges in 2018 to 2019 lasted the full academic year. Now it can vary. Students might receive credit. I was not able to receive credit because for the work that I did towards my high school diploma. And so I wouldn't consider it a loss though. I did come back and eventually finish my grade 13 while my friends had graduated on before me, but I would not regret that year. And that's a big sacrifice for some young people to leave their Canadian friends behind. 90% of Rotary districts are certified to participate in Rotary Youth Exchange, but, and I find this kind of sad, only 16% of clubs send or host students. 5,768 clubs around the world have participated in the exchange. And so on the Rotary webpage, if your club would like to support the program, contact district leadership. So let's go to the very last page. So now I think about kids today. I've spent the past year and a half, for the most part, teaching online. And wow, has that really been a shift in my career. And I'm so looking forward to going back in person. But we know things have changed not only for us, but for kids as well. And many of you know Pastor Howard Courtney from Innisfil Community Church. And I asked him what he thought kids might need in a post-COVID world. Pastor Andy is the youth and family minister, but Pastor Courtney says there's so much that needs to be done to provide safe places and safe programs to help youth regain a sense of connection and belonging. The pandemic has robbed the joys of life and the interactive smiles that are so vital to balanced social, mental, spiritual development in youth. The sense of aloneness and isolation, combined with the added stress of cramped up and pressurized family settings, has taken a big toll on many. And youth who are usually and normally very resilient have become victims of an extended and unpredictable pandemic. He believes that the church is one of the best equipped locally existing groups available to facilitate recovery in a natural environment. And I believe too that Rotary has the opportunity to take some next steps as well, and to speak into the lives of the young people, and whether you do that locally to start as we see what happens post-COVID, but there's nothing like an amazing year abroad. And one last thing I wanted to show you before I finish up. So my 18-year-old, I said to him last night, see, I have my bank card from when I lived in Japan, and that's my Japanese debit card. Long before there were debit cards in North America, this was a debit card in Japan. And so my name is here on my debit card, and you could get specialized ones. So I had a Snoopy debit card. And then, like other students, my student card from my high school in Japan. In there as well is my subway pass and what's called a phone card that you could charge up and put into the telephone, and it would run down. So some unique opportunities that yeah, have impacted me. Definitely has impacted my teaching over the past 35 years, and has created lifelong friendships for sure. So there we go. That's my presentation for you this morning. And if you have questions, thoughts, I'd be open to receiving, you know, your input.
Go ahead, Ann.
Yeah, hi Tina, that was a great presentation, thank you. Have you been able to maintain the Japanese language, and if so, how did you do that?
When I attended Queen's University, I did take some Japanese courses there, but when I first came back, I was involved in doing some work for different businesses in Japanese. I spent some time in British Columbia, which, you know, it's so exciting actually in Banff, Alberta, when I would walk by the storefronts and I could read the Japanese on the storefronts there. Since then, I would say my Japanese has declined. Yeah. But out of the 10 of us, 3 of them went on to marry Japanese people. And so Michael, I know, has done a lot of work with Honda out of Alliston, and he was very active with the Fujisawa plant that was affected by the tsunami a few years ago.
Great. Any other questions? Al?
So Tina, I just wanted to let you know, over the years, I've attended a lot of Rotary conferences, and my feelings were shared by just about everybody there. The high point of the conference was the presentation of the exchange students. They all had a chance to get up. They had a chance to tell us about their experiences. They also showed off their skills, and wonderful people, wonderful young people. We never really did get into the nuts and bolts of the trip. This morning, what you have done for me has expanded on those kids' stories. We have a lot of new members in the club who probably don't know a lot about the exchange youth program, but I guarantee you, when they go to a district conference and they see these kids, it is without a doubt one of the highlights of the conference. And your presentation this morning was just excellent. It's just wonderful to hear about all your experiences. There was a young girl at one of the district conferences, and she was an exchange student, and she got up and she said, a year ago, I couldn't meet a stranger and shake hands and say hello. I couldn't get up in front of a crowd. I had no self-esteem. And she came back from that exchange, and she went on to be a student in Ottawa with the government, and she worked in the Department of Human Rights Lawyers. And she sounded like she was the Prime Minister. She was just fantastic. But what that year did for her, it brought her out and made her able to just take on the world. And your presentation this morning was just excellent.
Thank you. Actually, Anne, one other thought, as a student learning Japanese, one of the other Rotary students was from Brazil, and she only spoke Portuguese. So I have no Portuguese, she has no English, but we became good friends through speaking Japanese to each other. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and Al, absolutely, it's such an impactful time in a young person's life, and I think so. Some of the nuts and bolts that they don't get into, growing up as a white North American kid in the '80s, you know, we had that perspective, and being sent to a country where all of a sudden you're the minority. Definitely had its challenges, you know, and going prior to that international kimono show that I had showed you pictures of, we were in an area that a lot of those people and older people, they did not have high opinions of North Americans because of some of the experiences from World War II. And I was actually punched in the face in the subway prior to that show, and I was called a racist term, and that was really quite tough, you know, because you go through those moments of missing home, and that was a huge moment. And my mom actually sent me on a cassette tape a recording of Kermit the Frog singing "It's Not Easy Being Green." And she said, "You're always welcome to come home. But remember," and this was, you know, my mother putting the weight of the world on my shoulders, "remember, you're not just representing you. You're representing Canadian youth. You're representing your city, your home, your Rotary Club." And so we stayed, and we shouldered through some difficult situations.
Barb, I saw you have raising your hand.
Yeah, thank you, President Dean. Tina, thanks so much. Tina got in touch with us when we did post that picture of the women who had been president of the Rotary Club. And she was interested in our club, and this is a great opportunity, I think. I want to say thanks so much for your reach out to us, Tina, to talk about it. And you're right, a lot of our club are relatively new members and therefore don't have necessarily the background in the exchange, but they got a great taste of it this morning. And I thank you very much. And your mindfulness with the youth, being a teacher, is invaluable to our community, I think, at this time when they're coming out of COVID, and hopefully we're out of it now and well back on our way to something normal. So I know as teachers, you're going to have that struggle in the classroom as well, that people have had different experiences through COVID, and some of them will have lost people they love. And it's not an easy time for youth. It's hard enough for us old people, but when you don't have those other backup systems in place, I want to say to you as a teacher, I know you're going to support those children.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's been challenging. And like I said, I am looking forward to in-person teaching. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barb. Well, we do have to get on with some business. So Tina, thank you so much for your presentation. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you'd like.
I do have a commitment this morning, but I encourage you, and for those of you who are new members, just love your time, and the work that you do in the community it impacts lives. It impacts lives. So yeah, do great work. Thank you so much.
Come back and visit anytime, Tina.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, moving on, we'll go to some old business. Let's start with Jeff and Tim. Beer for a year.
Yeah, we haven't drank it all yet, so we're still good. Now, I still have lots of Rotarians that haven't got tickets yet. So just reach out. I will get them to you somewhere, somehow, but you got to want them, you got to sell them, because we still have probably about 600 and some odd tickets left yet to sell. So the ones that have tickets, they're selling them. So they're not hard to sell. So hopefully we can get more out there selling, because we have the first early bird draw in September. And then we got to sell until the last week of November, so we can get them all into the drum and get our prizes out there. So, and that's going to make us some good money this year.
And Tim, are we setting up at the farmer's market this week?
I got a blender going on in the background. I personally cannot do the Friday because I'm having a medical procedure done. There's a something happening at the Tangers Market that I think maybe we should have some volunteers there. There is a job fair apparently happening, so I'm thinking the traffic at Tangers hopefully will be a bit better. So I'd love to see if we can get people who are interested in coming out for Friday. But if there's anybody here who'd be willing to do Thursday as well, it doesn't hurt for us to have a footprint at the market from time to time. Like I think if we do like every 2 weeks at each market, it'd be great. So can people contact me directly if you'd be willing to come for either Thursday or Friday, and then I can coordinate from there. But once again, Friday, I unfortunately cannot do myself, so I do need somebody to step up and take lead.
Tim, can I ask you to send out an email with what you just said, because we are short a few people this morning.
We're missing a few members this morning, so yes, certainly I will do that shortly after this meeting.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anything else for Beer for a Year?
Nope, that's it.
All right, everyone get your tickets or Jeff will knock on your door. Bottle drive. Dougie.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So just a quick update for everyone. I know Tim has been spearheading getting some signage for the side of the road. It's one of the things that we really need to drive forward for the next one is just that community awareness. We'll check on those. Tim and I will touch base after this meeting and we'll arrange to pick those up and get those planted in the ground in the next several days.
Just to add to that, Doug, so once I do have that signage, we need a commitment from people to actually put those in the ground. And that needs to be in the week leading up to the actual market. So maybe the Tuesday or the Wednesday prior, just to give that three-day lead time. So yeah, we'll need bodies for that, for sure.
So working on that's one of the big things that we're making for the second one. Just to reiterate, it's August 7th. We're doing 2 locations, Innisfil Community Church, as well as the Stroud Curling Club Arena parking lot. And I know we're still putting together a roster of people. So if you're available for the August 7th weekend, it's going to be earlier in the morning. I think we're kicking off at 9. We're wrapping up about 3 in the afternoon. Please get in touch with past President Ann. I think she's the one putting together the roster. So all help would be greatly appreciated.
Also, I'll add to that as well. I'm going to set up one of the sign-up lists on Club Runner for that, and I'll be coordinating with past President Ann for that.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Tim, for all your help.
We're also bringing out the train, so fill the train with food for the food bank for that day also. So we'll have the train. I will send out an email so we get some people out there to help, and we'll get her up there and we'll get her looking good.
Yep, and I will have some write-ups that includes for social media. So once you see the social media post about it, share to all of your contacts. Get it out.
And Tim, I believe, will be sending out an email with all the media we have for everyone to share on their social media and get out there as much as possible. We discussed that at the board meeting last night.
Yes, I have a busy morning.
Yes, and I'm going to add one more thing to your list, Tim. Can you send me the name of the company the check's going to be made payable to? And I will get in touch with Chris this morning to have it drawn up.
Sure. I think it's in the email I sent you, but I will send it again just in case.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Is that it, Doug? Perfect. On to some new business. We talked about, and Kel's not here, but we talked about the garage sale we've been talking about for quite a while now. And we want to run that the Labor Day long weekend. And Anne has generously given us her property to do so, but we need to know how many people will be around to work it and have some shifts. So basically we're looking for a commitment from everybody to come out and help sometime that weekend. Does anyone know if they'll be around or what's going on? Barb? Oh, just saying you'll be around. I thought you were raising your hand.
No, I can, I will be around, but we should do a poll on that too before we go ahead, because that's a lot of work. And I'm going to ask you right out loud. Can I send Andy all this information to save her vigorously writing down all those details? Can I include her on correspondence?
Oh, absolutely.
So
okay, Andy, I'll try to help you out there.
President Dean, we've only got 14 members here this morning and we have over 30 in the club. So you really need to get something out on Club Runner for that, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, Jen is going to be sending out a poll to everyone that we discussed last night. Can you add to this one as well for the garage sale? I'll take that as a yes. Janet?
Is it going to be one day or the whole weekend?
That's what we're trying to figure out. How many people we're going to get, how many people can work a shift. If we can have more than one day, then we'll have more than one day.
Yeah, and President Dean, there will have to be preparation a day or so before for pricing items and things like that.
Yeah. Nope, it'll be a lot of work and we're looking for a lot of club commitment for it. For next week, I am going to be away. Past President Ann Smith will be running the meeting next week. So we will be having all our committees speaking. We don't have a speaker, so they're going to be with a lot of new members. We need more people on more committees. So the committees will be giving a 3 to 5 minute presentation on what the committee does and hopefully getting more interest from everybody. So thank you, Anne, for doing that while I'm away. Anyone else have anything to add?
Yeah, President Dean, I just want to ask, you know, the library has offered for us to go back to the library starting next week. So
Yes.
have you made a decision as to when we're going to return to the library? I just have to let them know so that,
Yeah,
you know,
Jen
Robin
and Barb, because we're missing a few, half our group this morning. Jen and Barb are going to send out a poll this morning to everybody.
Okay. And if someone could let me know as soon as possible the results from the poll, because I don't want Rob going into the library super early next week if we're not going to be there. So thank you.
If not, the first meeting I have planned in person is the 25th of August.
Okay.
So everyone mark on your calendars, regardless of the poll or not, we will be meeting in person at the library on the 25th of August.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything to add? No. All right, we have a little bit of time. Well, 9 minutes. We can do a quick round. Let's do some good news. Jeff.
All right. Not a whole lot going on. I got my sidewalks all put back together. I'm now just going to wait for the grass to grow beside it again, and we're all good. We all lifted the interlock and put it all back down, make it look straight. So it's all good.
Perfect. Dougie.
Having a great summer, trying to spend some time on the bikes, and got great news yesterday from the courier. My new seat for my motorcycle is finally coming in after ordering it in March. Welcome to the worldwide shortage of foam.
That's only 3 weeks early too, right? Eleanor, it's such a pleasure to see you this morning. What do you have to share with us?
Things are going well here at home, looking up. And other than that, life is good.
Okay. Good to hear. Robert.
I would like to say that our restore had its grand opening 10 days ago, and in 10 days we made as much as we usually do in a month. So the new location looks like it's gonna be able to get us to impact a lot more affordable housing.
That's fantastic. John.
Nothing new and exciting, but it's a nice sunny day out, and summer's still here, but days are getting shorter.
Jen, Ray, are you there? No. Tim.
I've lived here for 11 years, but last night was the very first time I've actually gotten out fishing. So I got my license the other day and went out in the government pier just over here in Bellewart with my next door neighbor and fished for a good hour and a half. So didn't catch anything, but you know what? It's just a good thing to be able to kind of throw your line in the water and it's get used to doing it again. So looking forward to doing more.
Do the kids like to fish, Tim?
Kyle's been talking about doing it. I just never know if he has the patience. So I think just being able to walk up to the pier actually is a low risk thing. It's not like I'm dragging him out in the middle of nowhere to do it. If he gets tired, he can just walk home. So that's a good thing. So I'm going to get him a rod. We're at Cabela is looking at different systems, and so I'm going to get him his own fishing rod. And if he uses it, great. If he doesn't, hey, some other kid can use it.
I have lots of extra, Tim. We can take them out together if you want to try it first. Before
that's fantastic, President Dean. I would love that. Thank you.
Janet.
Everything's going fine here. We've got the family moved in now. It's a little bit on the crowded side, but we're handling it. I really do believe that the energy of a 20-month-old is wasted on the youth. It should actually be the grandparents that get the energy.
Michael.
Oh, hey, Tim, I saw you last night out there fishing, and just so the reason you didn't catch any fish, because that wasn't the government pier, that was my pool. Anyway, the big excitement for me is a truck just backed up in my driveway. The cabinet maker's finally here to put the kitchen in our new gazebo, and it only started on the 9th of May, but we're happy that it's finally here.
Party at Michael's.
Chris Beggs.
Oh, good morning. I'm here at the cottage and my reception is intermittent, so can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, perfect. Well, my great news is that I got to see my Napanee family. They came up to the cottage. Less exciting was my son got really, really sick. And so we got all the COVID symptoms and he was feeling so badly, bringing it and spreading it. But turns out, no, he has Lyme disease. So at least he's being treated for that now. And we did have a lovely time together. Yeah, life continues. And my 16-year-old, she turned, my granddaughter turned 16 on Saturday, got rained out for her socially distanced outdoor movie night. So she is having it tonight. So it's all wonderful.
Thank you, Chris. Al.
So Tim, if you're going to be a fisherman, you've got to change that story. The story is you went to the government dock, you hooked a big one, and it got away. Okay. And for the rest of you, I was in Home Hardware down in, on Innisfil Beach Road the other day, and talking to the fellows at the back, and I said, "Have you got any rebar?" And they laughed. They haven't had any rebar for 4 months, and they still don't have any. So in the construction trade, it's still a lot of things that you just can't get, and there's no sign of it coming soon.
Well,
sorry guys. Yeah, all good on the COVID front. Deb's negative, coming off quarantine, so it looks like we dodged a bullet. It turns out it was the South African variant, so things are a little scary, but all's good.
Good to hear. Barb.
We, for those of you who don't know, we've lived in this same house for over 40 years where our children were babies and grew up and laughed, but they never take their stuff with them. And for those of you who've had experience that, you know, they never take their stuff. But we gave them fair warning, and Warren, with a cold heart, went into their cupboards and closets, and we have now divested ourselves of a lot of childhood. And they kept some of the weirdest stuff that they wanted to keep, but they're in their houses now, not in our house. So it was a productive week, to say the least.
At least you gave your kids warning. When my parents did that, they gave my stuff away to charity. Whitney.
Not too much. I had a week of vacation last week, so that was super nice. And we finally saw a couple of our friends that we haven't seen since the wedding in October. So everyone's fully vaxxed. We finally got to see them. So that was nice, seeing people in real life. Yeah, so that's all.
Great, thank you. Ann Smith. You're on mute, Ann.
Well, she can.
She's having some trouble. Let's go to Dwayne. We'll come back to Ann.
Hey, it's been a pretty busy couple weeks. I'm working on this LCBO project. And next week is the week where we're finally shooting everything. So we're boiling down to the final days where I can have some free time again. But I'm excited for that. And I'm also having a barbecue at my house on Sunday, where I'm inviting everyone. If you are in the area, you feel free to reach out to me and you guys can stop by and get some food. And possibly I can grab some beer for your tickets and see if I can move some during that day. So I'll reach out for that as well.
I'll be there, Dwayne. With lots of tickets.
Yeah, yes. Okay.
Okay, President Dean, I'm back up again now.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it was my, we don't understand how this happened, but our daughter was 40 years old the other day. And we got to spend the day with her, our son-in-law and grandchildren down in Milton, and then had a beautiful dinner at Glencombe Golf Club. And it was a great day.
Great to hear. Andrea, our guest, would you like to share some good news with us?
Yes, I moved 2 weeks ago to Innisfil. Before that, I've been volunteering with Rotary Woodbridge for the last 3 years. And my main way to volunteer is going to the events to help. I'm in the next one if you need me. And also I share on social media because I have a strong presence. So if you have like small business, I always promote for free local business and of course the Rotary. I'm a little lost here with the ticket sales and all the stuff. So if you can send me an email with flyers and what to promote, it helps me a lot, and then I can start promoting and helping you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Barb, you said you were going to catch her up on that, correct? All right. Did I miss anybody before I go? No, my good news is after all this time, my wife and kids and I are flying to BC this weekend for 10 days to enjoy some time in Vancouver and Tofino. So we are pretty excited for that. Almost right on time here. Jen, did you have anything for Learning Corner before we go?
Sorry. Okay. And it's interesting. It was the one that I picked was Youth Exchange. Rotary Youth Exchange is one of Rotary's most popular programs to promote international understanding and develop lifelong friendships. It began in 1927 with the Rotary Club of Nice, France, and in 1939, an extensive youth exchange was created between California and Latin America. Since then, the program has expanded around the world. In recent years, more than 7,000 young people have participated annually in Rotary-sponsored exchange programs. Values of the youth exchange are experienced not only by the high school age students involved, but also by their host family, sponsoring clubs, receiving high schools, and the entire community. Youth exchange participants usually provide one fellow student in their sponsoring clubs, receiving their host schools with excellent opportunities to learn about customs, languages, traditions, and family life in another country. Youth exchange offers young people interesting opportunities and rich experiences to see another part of the world. Students usually spend a full academic year abroad, although some clubs and districts sponsor short-term exchanges for several weeks or months. Approximately 36% of Rotary Youth Exchange students are hosted or sent by the clubs in the United States and Canada. European countries account for 40% and 12% come from Australia and New Zealand. Asian clubs sponsor 5% and 7% come from Latin America countries. Over 70% of all Rotary districts participate in youth exchange activities. Youth exchange is a highly recommended program for all Rotary clubs as a practical activity for the enhancement of international understanding and goodwill. So that's your Learning Corner for this day.
Thank you, Janet. Anyone have anything before I adjourn the meeting today? Nope. Everyone have a great week. And thanks again for running the meeting next week. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
See you all.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Enjoy.